That was my time.
I just casually just clear my throat over your
My solo.
It totally is your solo.
No problem. It can be
Because
about both of us.
Because I definitely want to start using this from the get-go. I want everyone at home to know that when we start recording, we both snap to make sure our audio peaks and over Steven's
This is Chanel's
solo.
idea, by the way.
I didn't invent it. It's like a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. Okay.
I didn't come up with this.
I didn't know. I don't know.
You wouldn't. No.
Oh.
Over Steven snaps, I just like aggressively cleared my throat off mic. I tried.
Yeah, it's like the only 2 seconds of our 2-hour recording where you're just not supposed to make any noise, and
where it's like it's all on you to perform, and I just fucked it up.
But we don't want to get buried deep into the technical talk.
No, of course not.
That's on us.
Yeah,
that's not on the listener to have to figure out how to make this work.
We are so close to the point where I've woken up today that I probably should have aggressively cleared my throat before this.
Oh, okay.
I woke up like a half hour ago.
Oh my God. Okay.
Don't share that. Okay. What is up, you guys? How's it going? It's your favorite podcasters. Ugh.
Sure. It is.
Can we call ourselves that?
It is my least favorite month of the year.
Oh my God. Wait, let's get into that. You don't like October?
Okay. Sometimes we record things out of order. But I've said on a previous episode, which isn't out already, but I'll repeat it now. I don't like scary things.
Oh yeah, they won't get that episode before this one, so we should double down. Steven doesn't like being scared.
I don't like being scared. I don't like haunted houses. I don't like haunted. Okay, here's what I will say. I do like haunted hayrides.
Fun.
And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between a haunted house and a haunted hayride. Here's why. With a haunted house, you have to move your body through the space.
Mm-hmm. And it's on you.
And I have no intrinsic motivation to go from one scary room to the next. But when you're on a haunted hayride, you don't have to worry about that. Someone else is in control. And they
truly are trickling you along.
They are just dragging you through. It's to spook.
It's somehow a speed slower than walking pace.
Oh my God. It's always slower. And the tractor always breaks down. At the worst part, we're always stuck.
I just feel like don't get offended. One is for children. One's for adults.
Okay, I've been on some pretty spooky haunted hayrides, Chanel.
I'm just gonna have to take your word for it because I don't know.
Where in Pennsylvania, where I grew up, there is a lot of farm country, and those areas, those farms, they make a lot of money this time of year with their spooky attractions. And haunted hayrides, you're right. They can range from pretty innocent during the daytime, something I might like, to, which is just more of a farm tour, to something more insidious at night. And I've done both.
Okay. Wow. I don't know if I've done a haunted hayride because I'm
really?
Not a baby.
One time I was on a haunted hayride, and I've been on like 2 haunted hayrides. So like one of the 2 times I was on a haunted hayride.
In my mind, I'm like, how many have you gone on?
Hundreds. Now, the tractor like broke down near this well, and this was early 2000s. So I guess I was like middle school or high school, and don't you know it, but Samara from The Ring starts crawling out, and
that's a good one.
I was like.
Did you shriek?
I was staring at the driver. I was like, you better fix this engine now. We have to go. We have to go.
Seeing you kind of scared. Like, I like to
Always.
see you not have your shit together. Because you really do. Like, you're Virgo. Like, you have your shit together at all times.
Yeah.
So just picturing you in a panic is my favorite.
My thought is always like, okay, going to haunted houses to me is insane. Like to go there for that entertainment is crazy.
I love being scared.
But then I'm like, okay, that's one level of crazy. But then to choose to work at a haunted house and be a scary person.
Don't you want to see the behind the scenes to make it less scary? Don't you want to see the bones of how everything runs?
Maybe.
That would probably help you, honestly. Yeah. The behind the scenes.
So you're saying I should work at a haunted house?
As part of your
do an internship?
What's that like therapy like?
Exposure therapy.
As part of your exposure therapy, you have to like go work inside of a haunted house. Wait, did you back in the day love those Ellen scare videos?
Oh,
those were fun, right?
Yeah, but I love the original one, and the woman doesn't work there anymore. It was. Yeah. Do you remember Amy, the woman who she would make dress up in like a business suit and send out?
Go through. Yeah. No, I remember these. This was in the fun times.
That was the fun time when Ellen would give her guests cigarettes on the show, which that was like that was early on.
Check under your seats.
She would. Remember, she had that camel that she would like just like deposit cigarettes from and give to her guests.
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember that at all, but I believe you. Thank you. I don't need to fact check that because the early 2000s, late 90s was like an uncharted time.
Yeah. Well, that's the tricky thing with time. Things change, but also things stay the same.
Yeah.
Which is a big theme.
Big theme in today's episode. Halloween.
Halloween, the 2018 version.
Halloween 2018. What we would call a true star vehicle for Jamie Lee Curtis. And we've got 40 years on our side to make our case.
Yeah. Yeah. This one it's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's sort of a sequel.
Yeah, it's a real continuation.
It's a continuation from the 78 version, which, to be honest, I haven't seen in a minute, but
okay,
I think I remember the general beats of the 1978 version, but you just rewatched.
Lucky for you, Stephen and viewers at home.
Yeah,
I did a double feature yesterday. I have never seen the 78 version and thought like I should probably get on it, and then I double featured it. Immediately went to 2018.
No break.
Very okay. There was like a break.
Okay.
There were some carrots and hummus in between.
Oh. Yeah, you don't want to eat. You don't eat that during the movie. You won't be able to hear.
We're just like I'm just crunch. Like waiting for a jump scare, and I'm like. I get so self-conscious eating on camera, but like I would really eat more snacks if I could. Oh yeah, I did it for YouTube, so I was on camera the whole time, which is, I have to admit, it's not my favorite way to watch movies because you can't really let it wash over you. You kind of have to talk through it.
Right.
But it was so much fun. I love that I could ignore every Halloween movie ever made.
Yeah.
And they still made sense. 78, 2018.
Yeah.
So I have it fresh up here.
Well, that's what I did really like about the 2018 version in the broadest stroke possible, is that it didn't feel like they were shaming you if you didn't like have a picture perfect memory of the 78 movie. It wasn't like you have to be
plenty of exposition, let me tell you.
It was plenty of exposition, and you never felt like you were in the dark, so to speak, about what had happened.
In the dark.
But speaking of being in the dark, well, okay, let's start with a summary and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so because we assume a slight working knowledge amongst our audience of the Halloween films. I love how I started that.
Yeah, I didn't sign on.
Stephen does not approve that message.
I didn't sign on to that statement.
Okay, this is coming from me. No, I mean, I just feel like people have like a slight working knowledge of it, so it's a
people know. Very concise, people know.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen the originals. I did find out that when I was like in middle school or high school, I saw the 2007 Halloween, which is a straight up remake.
Oh, okay.
So I was sort of familiar with the story from then. But in that, Michael Myers had long hair. And when you're in middle school, and then like I watched the 78, I'm like, wait, where's his long hair though?
Okay, so you had a weird way in. So
I had a really weird way in. Okay.
So why don't you just read the summary?
Yeah, it's a really concise summary. It's just Laurie Strode, played by our girl Jamie Lee Curtis, confronts her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago.
Great.
Ugh. And I truly love the exact math of that 40 years. The first movie's in 78, 2018, Jamie Lee, 40 years into the future.
Yeah. It's
love
real
that.
it's real time.
It's real time.
It's
I love
real
it.
time.
And she's been up to some shit.
Literally with all that Activia.
Yo, I forgot.
You forgot about the Activia commercials? That was
Yes.
I mean, that was basically our childhood, was watching her sell yogurt that makes you go to the bathroom.
So iconic. Those were so iconic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wanted Activia from that. My mom was like, what?
Okay, again, we've had no sponsorship outreach, but I would clear the way for Activia.
Yeah, I would wipe our slate clean.
Yeah.
For an Activia mention.
Okay, so the movie is 40 years later. Michael Myers is in jail, prison, mental health facility.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what?
So in the 78 version, he's in a mental facility, and it does not look board certified. It looks like, wow.
Yep, different time and place, Chanel.
Different time and place. I have to admit, the one in 2018 still doesn't look up to code. I thought they might update that. They did not.
That's what we're going to get into, because it really looked like Jennifer Lopez was running the mental health facility based on the way that she talked about it in Monster in Law.
With no qualifications.
Yeah, like these were very interesting. Like, the movie has, I think, really noble intentions when it comes to mental health, but when it gets into the nitty-gritty, it's like a word salad of like mental health terms that
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm like, maybe there was a better word we could have used.
Yeah. A lot of those scenes, they're kind of just banking on, like if someone were a mechanic and they're like, the spooling is not fixed, I'd be like, I trust you.
Okay, so the movie starts and it's no one that we recognize. It's these two, they're British, right?
Yeah, they were like British
podcasters.
They called themselves journalists, but it made, once they said podcasters, I was like, oh, so this is like a serial.
Yeah,
they're
doing like a serial. Cool. Speaking of which, it just made me want to watch Only Murders in the Building, which I did do after.
Oh, my sister said it's so good.
So good.
I want to see it.
Okay, back to Halloween.
So yeah, it opens on these podcasters, and at first I'm sort of confused as to their function. I'm like, why are they here?
Yeah.
Is it just to bring us into 2018? I don't know. But I thought this was really inappropriate of them. But they go to visit Michael Myers at his facility, dangling his like mask in front of him.
Yeah, at first beat, I thought, okay, this is cool, because what the podcasters do, or their function, is really just to get you caught up to speed with what the story is, like who Michael Myers is, what happened in the 78 version. Basically from beat one to be like, okay, if you didn't watch, here's what happened. But as soon as they get to the mental health facility or prison, unclear, to meet with Michael Myers, who his back is to us, and he's chained in a courtyard for outdoor recreation time. And they were like, our inmates do enough activity every day. I'm like, he's standing outside. He wasn't moving, and his shoulders were kind of slumped over. I don't think he was it wasn't a good day for Michael. He wasn't.
Nope,
he wasn't getting. He wasn't going to get a smile on his chart that day. But
no stickers.
The podcasters are like, oh, we have some questions for Michael. And, I would assume they would be like, hey, Michael, do you have any regrets? Anything like that. They get up there and they start screaming questions.
They taunt him.
I was like, this is really inappropriate.
Yeah. Like, sit across from him over a meal.
And then you're right. They take out a mask, which I don't know if it was like a reproduction or if it was the original. That's even stranger. But they like hold it out. And
it was a doctored version of the original. Like, it was a very
it was it was more modern. And they hold it out at him and they're screaming, but Michael doesn't turn around. He doesn't do anything. He sort of has no reaction to the mask, at least from our perspective.
From our perspective. Yeah, and then it's like it kind of incites a little bit of commotion
in the yard.
In the yard, and then we kind of cut to the title sequence, right? We cut
this
to
this was my
boom.
favorite. Yeah, then that
I love the title sequence.
Then that title sequence song starts.
Oh, I love the Michael Myers like jingly theme. It's so
fresh.
Good.
It's a little fresh. It's a little remixed from the original, but it's still the same.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I love that song. I love the title sequence. Worth mentioning that they did like a play on the 78 one. So the 78 one is a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
And then same, the orange lettering. And then this is like a wilted jack-o'-lantern coming back to life.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very into it. And then who do we see? Do we see JLC?
Well, then after the title sequence is done and we're riding that high, the two podcasters are driving up to a house. Well, actually, they drive up to
bunker.
a gate.
Yeah.
And we find out that this is where Jamie Lee Curtis is living. And they are going to give her $3,000 to do an interview. And she accepts because she's short on cash.
Yeah, great deal.
Great deal.
Good deal. I'll do it.
They go to her house, which is like essentially a bunker, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's a bunker. It's pretty intense.
Lots of security. But what I did love is that her home on the outside, it looked a little unappealing. On the inside, it was pretty spick and span.
Yeah.
It was nice and clean.
Everything had a form and a function.
Everything had a home, which I love.
Yeah.
Every plate and piece of silverware had a place to be, which I loved.
It really did seem like she had 40 years to make it so.
Yeah.
Every little trap door, every little mannequin, every little weapon in its place, and she knew where it all was.
Yeah, it's just like to be in the middle of nowhere like that just gives me the creeps.
The creeps. Yeah, it's really scary. But they do their interview with her, and she's very withholding. And she's clearly not okay from 40 years ago. She's like...
Well, these podcasters like double down in being rude because then they're like, hey...
They're so pushy.
They're like, hey, that was weird, 1978. Also, your daughter, she was taken away from you. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah,
she's
they're
like,
so fucking rude.
She's like, excuse me? And they're like, oh, yeah. Well, and we also forgot to mention all those guys you slept with and then divorced.
I know.
Like, what?
Excuse me? Yeah, I would kick these people out of my house. And she kind of does.
She does kick them out. She takes her money. But I was like, okay, there are like literally, this is like a bunker house. There's clearly weapons in the home. You're going to come into her house and taunt her?
Yeah, it's the same way they treated Michael Myers. They treated her. I was like, wow, okay. See where this is going.
But I will say, though, that like Jamie Lee Curtis in this scene, she is acting.
This whole movie.
She's acting.
She is acting.
Like.
And it's just great to see. She took this very seriously.
She did take it seriously, and I think that it really helps elevate it because some of the other characters, rightfully so, are goofy. Like these podcasters, they're not goofy, but they're borderline unbelievable in the sense that their behavior is so inappropriate that it's like,
yeah, it's real inappropriate.
But that's okay. They're not like fully realized people. I know they're like playing a role, so it helps.
I understood their function in this. At first, like pass through, I'm like, what was their function? To like taunt, to give us some backstory, and then to die in an epic way, which yeah, that works. But yeah, that works for me. But I didn't realize that they had another They also had another function too. Locate the mask. I didn't realize this until the second pass when I went through the movie again.
Right.
Yeah, Michael Myers needs his face.
He can't go out. He's a little camera shy. He needs that mask.
He's like, and you know, they're like, we can't have a Halloween movie without the mask. And they're like, where's he supposed to go for it? A museum? No.
Yeah. It was very clever. It was very clever.
It was clever. Yeah. So I was annoyed by the podcasters. I'm like, they're so rude.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lee Curtis is selling it for us.
Yeah,
I believe her.
she's doing a lot of whisper acting, which is classic Star Vehicle build. She starts with a lot of whispers. She's like, "Get out of my house."
She's like, you don't. They're like, I don't believe in the boogeyman. Like, do you believe in the boogeyman? And she's like, you don't.
You don't.
It's really good. She's stoic. She's still. I love her character's like unkept
Fried hair.
Yeah, the hair's like fried. It just. If anything, she sells it as it's been 40 years and I've had 40 years to think about this.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. It was so well done.
But then, okay, so we're teasing that moment that like her relationship with her daughter is not good. And then the next scene we've cut to, I guess who we can infer and we find out is her daughter.
Yeah.
Played by Judy Greer.
Breakfast time at the Greer household.
Okay, what was wrong with the dad?
Okay.
What was going I truly to this day, and I watched the movie yesterday, so I guess to this day.
For 12 whole hours.
What was the point of the dad acting
I didn't get
so weird?
So there's like a
Is he a
grander
stepdad?
thing. I don't know. He was acting so bizarre, super weird. I could only think maybe the actor was like, I got an idea. And the director was like, can we stick to the script? And he was like, no.
Because he felt out of control. Like he felt
so out of control. And I wanted him dead.
Because, okay,
Die.
I don't even remember what the dad was doing, but the dad is acting so over the top. Like he's in a zany comedy. And
I know.
at first I was like, my first thought was, okay, maybe he's like a stepdad and he's just doesn't like maybe the daughter just like needs a husband and she like takes on these weird men. But then I was like, they don't.
I think he was just normal dad.
I think he was just her dad.
Yeah, he was just like a normal annoying dad. Found in this movie,
he didn't fit in at all with the tone of the movie.
I didn't appreciate it. Did you? This is so random. Did you watch The Secret Life of the American Teenager?
No,
right? The same thing in that show where everything was melodramatic and really weird, but the dad really stuck out like a sore thumb. You were like, what's his problem?
And this scene was like, okay, so in this scene we meet Judy Greer, who is Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter. Then we meet Judy Greer's daughter, I don't know her name, and then we meet Weird
Allison,
Dad.
I think. Yeah. Weird Dad. We're just gonna call him Weird Dad. I think worth mentioning now, and then we'll double back on it later. I think they were painting the men in this movie to be kind of like dummies, because that's not the first time we see a guy just like.
I think you said this before on other episodes, but like. In a movie, okay, this is a big movie. Like this movie made a lot of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like nothing, you can't spare to have something be so unintentional. Like they had to have been doing this.
It's all intentional
for some reason, and I really think that it was to isolate or show the differences between the women in this family and the men.
Yeah,
and
that was the only thing left for me to infer
because. Okay, also there was a really weird moment in the scene that I wrote down because I still don't know. Okay, they cut to Judy Greer making breakfast potatoes. Okay, I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
And
not very many.
She puts her finger on the skillet.
And she's like, ow.
I was like, why?
I didn't get that.
Is there a point
either.
to that? But isn't it weird though? They cut to it in a close-up of her putting her finger on the skillet. And
I know.
I don't know, maybe not intentionally burning herself, but
testing it. I didn't understand that either, because why would you fill space with that? Why would you put a second of your runtime towards that?
Right.
The only thing I could think is towards the end, Jamie Lee Curtis does glance down at a cast iron pan in her home. And I think she uses it to hit Michael Myers over the head with.
Yeah.
And I was like, was that just like them being like, there's backstory with this pan?
Yeah, it was almost like...
Because it was a cast iron.
Yeah, it was very strange. I was like... But it did... I will say this. It did make me think, whether intentional or not, like, there's something more to her. Like, I clocked something because... And this is tough to say, and I recognize that this is what they want you to think up until the last 30 seconds of the movie. This character is annoying AF. She's so disrespectful. The daughter, not the granddaughter.
No, I know Judy Greer.
And we said this before we started rolling, and this is not an indictment of Judy Greer. It's just her character. It's just like she is pathetic.
We did say this before we rolled.
Not Judy Greer. We don't know her.
No, I know. It's
just
the
character. I was just like, she was insufferable in this movie.
Yeah.
I get it. I sort of get why, but it was just like, oh my God.
I almost am like, I don't know what I would have preferred is how I feel. It's like, okay, it's been 40 years. So they really did feel like they had to smack you over the head with this exposition.
Yeah.
We've said it before. We're fans on this pod of Show Don't Tell.
Right.
It was like so much telling, like mom abused me, social services took me. But I'd argue that like those little lingering moments with the pan or we got a flashback scene of mom basically like becoming an assassin, like learning how to be, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like
shooting up the mannequins.
Like we get a Kill Bill status training montage of little mom, little Judy Greer, just like learning how to shoot, learning how to survive. And I'm like, okay, that is better for me. I don't know about
that's
you.
what I'm saying is that this, okay, like this, the moment of her burning her finger intentionally on the pan, if you would have just left it on its own, it's enough to make you think there's something else going on, because
Something's
we do get the flashbacks later on.
Yeah.
But because because they have Judy Greer's character constantly complaining about her grandmom, after a certain point, you're just like, we get it. We get it. Okay? Deal with your kooky husband, because
I know they do it in the AM before school, in the PM after school, at dinner. Grandma comes through. It's just like constant. And I'm just like, I think we could have used one less scene of Judy Greer's character complaining about mom.
I agree.
Just one less.
Because her character's transition literally doesn't happen until the last 30 seconds of the movie. And then we don't get badass Judy Greer. We only get her for 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Literally 30 seconds. Yep.
So anyway, so this house, you know, it's very anti-grandma zone.
Yeah.
And
yes.
The daughter, she leaves the house to go to school, and she has her two kind of low-life friends.
Low-life friends.
One of them has bubble tea, and I'm like, wow,
I said that. I'm like, whose time?
This town has it all.
I'm like, this small town Illinois has a bubble tea shop.
Yeah.
In the AM.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
It was like 6 a.m.
in the morning times.
And she had just had bubble tea.
This is ridiculous of me to even harp on, but I have a real problem when they paint like you have all this time in the mornings. Maybe you did, Steven, because you got up early.
Yeah, but not that kind of time.
Mom made breakfast potatoes. Daughter's at the table. Dad is being a weirdo for
being a goof.
Way too long in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, who has this time? And then the low-life friends, and then the bubble tea. But
they have enough time to blow up a pumpkin.
Oh my God, yeah, he has like a casual firecracker in his pocket at 6 a.m.
Better set that off before you bring it into the school building.
Also, I saw hay nearby, and I was like, that's gonna start a fire.
Yeah, it's I just in that moment I said, oh, these are not people that I would be friends with.
That's kind of what they wanted. I appreciated the low-life friend aspect because it is one of the only callbacks to 1978 where Jamie Lee Curtis is like the prude one, like the original prude, and then like her friends are these like loose, fast and loose kids, and they updated it for 2018. Like you kind of got the feeling that something was up with the dude. You know, he might have been like high or something.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then yeah, and then like same with the girl. Like they were just painting. One was studious. One was receiving the honor of being inducted into the honor society that evening.
That's right.
And the other two.
And don't you forget it.
And don't you fucking forget it. And the other two clearly were not.
No, those two.
Like they weren't invited.
They weren't invited. They didn't even know about it. How about that?
They're like, wait, what? Where are you going tonight?
I did. The school scene was a classic. This was one of the first times that I did scream out loud, and this gets me every time. Is a cut to a locker shut.
Yes.
Slam.
clocked that in my brain. I was like, if I were in theaters, I would have jumped there.
Oh yeah, it got me.
I would have like kicked.
It got me.
Because I was like in my room, I just got startled.
Yeah, just recoiled against the wall.
I was just like, I love jump scares. I think they're so fun. The more the better.
Jump scares are good as long as each one delivers on the promise. So like, I like this one because
it got you.
It got me. I hate if you're gonna wind me up, you better let me jump out of the box. Okay?
That's good.
You know what I mean? I hate
the little toy box.
Yeah, I don't like a fake scare.
Yeah, I really do wish I could have allowed myself more jump scares. I was just like being very analytical watching this one. But when I go to Halloween Kills next week in theaters, I'm gonna fucking jump and it's gonna be great.
I bet.
I can't wait. Okay, so we're in school and she has like there's another sleazy guy, her like boyfriend,
her love interest,
who I also hate.
He was just kind of greasy.
Yeah. They just were like, I think something about the men in this movie, I think they wanted all of the male characters to fall away by the end, which they quite literally did.
Right.
I think they wanted all the male characters to fall away so that we were left with this like trifecta of 3 generations of like strong women. I think that was the intent.
Absolutely. Because there are scenes coming up where like men are distant from the action and then they basically are ineffective and they're like
they're part of the body count, which I kind of love.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Once you settle into the violence, I got more comfortable because
once you settle into the violence,
the first 45 minutes I found were the scariest in the movie because I was just waiting for it to happen. But then once things get going, I was kind of just like, okay, like who's next?
Now we're cooking.
But you're right. She meets up with her like greasy boyfriend. He's just like skeevy. He has a friend who's even more skeevy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
We're supposed to get like loser from him.
Loser, but they like tolerate him. And
yeah, they keep him around because he makes them look good.
I was like, oh my God, is he wearing a mask? But then it was like, no, he's just...
That's his face. But they go to dinner. We can like, the thing is I want to skip ahead and I want to like fast forward to like the action of Halloween.
Yeah, I think
like,
we need to.
There is so little Jamie Lee Curtis I'm now realizing that I'm like, we're really missing a chance to hit on Jamie again at dinner.
Okay, so well, this is after the school day.
More of her.
After the school day, you're right. This movie surprisingly doesn't have that much Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
It is predominantly the granddaughter, I would say. And I would say that I didn't mind her performance. I thought she was pretty good. She's a really good screamer. She's a good screamer.
Yeah, I was pretty psyched with her performance, and I was pretty psyched to see a no-namer. I actually love when we get a no-namer and like introduce them to the world. That's what they did in 78 with Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, if you discount the fact that her mother was Janet Leigh, which we all do.
Whatever.
I love like family business acting. I'm fine with it. Okay. I love it.
So
you love Gwen and Blythe.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I have no problem with it. So they go to a dinner to celebrate the granddaughter being in the National Honor Society, as you do. Yeah. As you do. I'm sure you had
My family never celebrated that. They were like, that's expected of you.
They go to a dinner. I mean, it's nowhere special. It's
Dad's being weird again with a boyfriend.
Dad's being weird at the boyfriend. And these kooks, they announced that they're going to be Bonnie and Clyde, but with a twist for Halloween.
With a twist. And we're so excited for it. That was fun. That was so fun.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, Bonnie and Clyde is pretty cute for a couple's costume, but I was excited to see the twist.
Me too. And it delivered. It was pretty good. But Grandma crashes dinner.
Grandma crashes dinner. I mean, she sort of was invited, but she didn't RSVP. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So it is a little surprise.
It's a surprise for everyone.
And I liked what they did with this dinner just because it seems to be like the only one who relates to Grandma or at least has any sympathy for her 40 years of torture is granddaughter.
Yeah.
Allison.
Granddaughter is sympathetic and is like excited to see her. Judy Greer is like staring at her with contempt, and like weirdo dad is doing God knows what at the end of the table.
Yeah, just something unrelated, honestly.
He was doing that annoying thing where like it's like, okay, someone is behaving inappropriately. So the grandma comes in, she behaves inappropriately by grabbing the wine glass and drinking it. And like the daughter calls her out on it. And then like weirdo dad like just repeats it. And then everyone just looks at him and it's like, shut up. Like,
did you come up with that?
Yeah, it's like, you what are you doing? You're adding nothing.
That's his character. Adds nothing.
Yeah, you're right. They really are devaluing the men in the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fun.
I'm here for it.
I like it.
I'm into it. After nearly 100 years of male domination in the movies, I'm ready to see them become bodies. Let's go.
Well, okay, so yeah, the reason why Grandma Jamie Lee Curtis is so wound tight like a top at this dinner is that night she reveals that Michael Myers is going to be transferred inexplicably from one prison to another to serve out the rest of his sentence.
The rest of his days.
And I knew in this moment, something's going to happen here.
Here we go.
And JLC knew it too. She's like...
She had that intuition, that female intuition.
She had that lady intuition, and she's like, this is not...
And she's been waiting 40 years for this.
So they load Michael Myers up on the bus with other prisoners. It's a big transfer day. And shockingly...
Something happens.
Yeah. Michael overturns the bus and the bus flips over. We see a really, really uncomfortable scene where like a boy and his dad, I thought it was his grandfather, they come across all the escaped prisoners. Grandfather leaves, grandfather dies, and then we watch Michael Myers kill the boy.
Kill the little boy.
That was uncomfortable.
I loved that little boy. He was like, I want to dance, Dad. Take me to dance. It was very Billy Elliot.
He should have been in a Western because the way that he was holding that shotgun walking around, I was like, you could have been in a Western movie. There's still time.
Raspy little kid voice.
Yeah, he was good.
It was like he smoked a pack a day.
Yeah, he was really good.
But one more, like this, I'm articulating this in this moment, but like, is this another win for like the feminine in this movie? Because he wanted to, I didn't really understand it, but like he wanted to dance. Like,
right.
Why have that exposition?
No, I think that there was something. I think there was something to be said that this boy was not traditionally masculine, and
he died
up until this
right
point.
Away.
But up until this point, he was the most effective man in the movie. Like
he really was. He looked so good.
He
does die. He looked like he knew how to hold a gun.
He does die, but I would rather have that 6-year-old guarding my house than any of the other male characters.
Agree. He's pretty great at it. But yeah, so the body count is starting to slowly climb. It's actually pretty great.
Okay, this was really funny is that after this scene, the local sheriff, whatever, goes to something to meet with somebody, and they are reviewing the prisoners who were on the bus, and the guy's like, just a bunch of low rank felons. He goes, except for this guy, and he highlights Michael Myers.
He really stood out.
He really stood out to me, and he shows the guy the name. And
babysitter murders 40 years ago to this day.
And then this reminded me of Miss Congeniality because the sheriff of the town goes, what are we gonna do? Cancel Halloween? I was like, yes, you are.
What are we gonna do? Cancel the pageant?
Yeah.
I know he says it, and it's so funny, and I lolled so hard, but it's like, they've canceled Halloween before. Like we've had curfew on Halloween before. It's like,
it's a small town. It's small. There's like 200 people here. Just say there is a murderer on the loose.
Yeah, murderer on the loose. Maybe you can trick or treat from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. The second it gets dark, get inside. You know what I mean? Like I wanted like some sort of quarantine, some sort of just like wrap it up early.
Right, daylight only, and it was like. That idea was disposed of in 5 seconds, and
it was pretty funny.
I was like, it did remind me of like this idea of like, it's like the police don't have jurisdiction over Halloween. What are you, crazy? No. We're not going to shut this down.
We can't stop people from going house to house and arbitrarily knocking on doors and asking for candy. It's so weird.
In full costume and masks. What are you, nuts?
I am so excited though. Oh wait, we would glaze over the podcaster murders if I skipped to Halloween.
Well, okay,
Copyright what I'm calling.
that is the next scene after this is that
Yeah.
the podcasters are driving somewhere.
At a gas station.
At a gas station.
Does she say you're gonna blush? Does she say she has to go number 2?
She says something really crass like that.
Does she say that?
I think she does. This woman, I was like, ugh. And then
I rewound many times. I'm like, is she referring to gas pump number 2, or
no,
is she like
she was ugh. And then I don't know if you caught it, but you could see Michael in the background in one of the scenes. At the gas station, you could see it because the woman in a van is staring at them like she saw a ghost. And,
oh yeah, she was not very friendly.
And this guy was like, "Hello, hello, hello," and she was like,
nothing.
she was like giving me nothing. I was like, "You are like not reading the room." So
yeah, those podcasters were not of this world.
She goes into the office and she's like, "Where's the loo?" And he's like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
She's like, "The bathroom." He's like, "Around
I'm
back."
British.
Yeah, basically, I'm British.
The bathroom sequence was really tense and fun. Did you find that?
I wrote down this bathroom scene. Oh my God. Because I thought this was a really good horror scene.
Yes.
Like,
I loved it.
It looked like a set from Saw. This bathroom was disgusting. It hasn't been wiped down for 40 years. And
I thought that. I was like, how long has it been since someone went in there with Lysol?
Yeah. And so basically the podcaster lady goes in, Michael Myers follows her in, dumps bloody teeth in her stall. Like, this was so good.
Oh, this sequence was my favorite in the whole movie. It was so tense, so scary. She's behind like a stall door. You're like, would that protect you in this situation? No.
Yeah.
He dumps the bloody teeth over. She crawls stall to stall. Like, oh, everything about this was so fun.
I like that it was so simple. Like,
it was. Yeah.
There was no like craziness to it, and I mean, obviously, it was insane. Like, she literally,
there was craziness to it.
Both spoiler alert, both the podcasters die. So like,
yeah,
it was crazy. But what I mean is that like there was no like machine gun or anything, like no laser swords. It was just
simple horror.
Simple, just kind of shake her till she dies.
Yeah, and then the guy podcaster comes in, joins her, and it becomes a 2-for-1 special for Michael Myers. I loved it.
She could have gotten away when the boy comes in. I know. And
when he was like preoccupied killing the man, she should have like bolted. She didn't.
She like stayed. Took her grand old time getting the crowbar, and by the time she gets her little fingers around it, Michael has wrapped up his business with the man, and he's like, "All right, that's
your
enough.
Turn. Come over here.
Spotlight's back on you.
Come here."
So they're dead, R.I.P., which was it. Not that I wanted to see them die, but
you kind of did.
You did want to see them die because they were so rude and disrespectful to this town. And
yeah, I think that's another genius element of the screenplay. I think they want to make sure you want these people dead. I think that's true.
And there is another character who will die later on who I felt the same way with, and it was like
many.
It was a weird
characters.
moment of like you were just ready for all the other people to die so that you could just narrow it down to like who we really wanted to be fighting. Because it's like, we're not going to get that fun fight until we get all these other people out of the way, literally.
Yeah. I will say, like, from the 78 version to this one, like, I really loved the epic. Like, the body count was just, oh my God. If in the first movie there was like 4 or 5 dead, there was like 35 dead in this one. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was good because then Michael goes out because he remembers, he's a thinker, that there was the mask in the trunk. He grabs the and it's game time.
Game on. I missed that the first way through, or it's not like I missed it, but I just didn't clock because I couldn't understand the function of those podcasters. I was like, were they just here to die this whole time? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice that they were there to show him the mask and so he could get his face back. Like, that was very cool.
Yeah, like their function was to remind the audience and remind him. Like, they were doing, this is who you are. And they sort of, not that Jamie Lee Curtis needed a reminder, but like they also kind of like shift her into gear a little bit because by them bringing everything up, it sort of just arises everyone's attention to this again. So
Yeah, it's like that tension building.
thank you for your service. Moving on.
Moving on from you. So, oh yeah, so then we're at Halloween. We're at Halloween night.
Yeah, it cuts to
Yay.
Michael. It cuts to Halloween night. The sun is set, and Michael is on Main Street, Haddonfield, ready to
He's like ready to get back to business. Like it's been 40 years and he's rusty.
He's,
so he practices.
He practices, and he needs to find the right weapon because he finds a hammer, and he's like, well, I can use this for a minute. So he kind of taps this lady until she's gone, and then conveniently she had just been slicing something, so there was a knife on the counter, and he says, well, he didn't say anything, but I could tell he smiled under his mask, and he
was like, this is an even trade.
Yeah, trades you, and he was nice enough. He left the baby alive.
He did. I was pretty surprised by that. I was like, wow, okay.
He did leave the baby, and then he basically just goes house to house because
he does. I the first time through as well, I didn't understand this function. I was like, okay, we're just going to see some kills. This is going to be great. But you're right. He's trading. He's upgrading weapons. He's just trade for trade.
He's upgrading.
Hammer for knife.
He's like upgrading weapons, and sort of like what the psychiatrist is saying is that like he is like relearning the behavior, the murderers. It's been 40 years. So
yeah, he's rusty for sure. He's definitely rusty. I love copyright-free Halloween in movies. I just want to say.
What do you like?
Okay, so every Halloween scene in a movie ever,
yeah,
it's just all copyright-free costumes.
Oh, like the sexy nurse that we saw?
Yeah, so when we cut to the school gym and it's like this Halloween dance.
Oh, wow.
It's just a sea of like unicorns.
Yeah.
And like nuns.
Okay,
and, like...
wait. The school dance was confusing because... Okay, so we sort of touched on it. Michael Myers goes house to house. He gets his knife. He kills people, whatever. Then it cuts to this school dance, but this was a pretty elaborate dance. I mean, you had
budget.
The sexy cheerleaders dancing, all in slightly different costumes, doing a routine. I mean, that gym was packed, and everybody had a really tasteful costume on.
Yes.
It was nice. And
I love a high school dance scene. I love a costume party scene. This felt epic. This felt huge. This felt
I would have liked to have
budget.
been. I would have liked to have been at this party, and we find out the twist. We find out the twist. They are Bonnie and Clyde as promised, but the man is dressed as he's dressed as Bonnie, and she's dressed as Clyde.
They're so crazy.
They're so crazy, and
they're so nuts.
And this really speaks to what we've been talking about, but that's the theme of the movie. Men are women, and women are men.
Yeah, which they try to pass as like great and like
it's
good
really
feminism,
progressive.
as like really progressive, and like yet again, it's like another thing.
It's funny though because like when he puts the costume on, he had already been a little bit whiny already, but when he puts the costume on, he really just becomes like a whiny girl, and like he throws a fit she catches him cheating.
Yeah,
within
like making out with somebody
minutes
else.
of being at the party. And she calls him on it, and she's just like, okay, that's not cool. Like, I'm done. This is not fun. And he has a temper tantrum where he takes her phone and throws it in the pudding.
Yeah, in pudding.
And I was like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I hate this tool boyfriend.
He was such a douche. I was like...
He was a super douche. They do a great job making her like super level-headed, super logical. She's like, no, I'm not standing for this. Goodbye. He, like you said, literally throws a temper tantrum. Phone in the pudding. I'd argue she probably should have got her phone out of the pudding.
I've dropped my phone in water and you can pull it out. I mean, I bet that phone still would have worked.
But we needed it gone for like the purposes of the next like hour of the movie.
Yeah, because just as he grabs her phone to throw it in the pudding, JLC is giving her a ring because Michael's out. And Jamie Lee Curtis, we got to a scene. This is my favorite scene in the movie. There are kids trick-or-treating. Jamie Lee Curtis just gets out of her pickup truck with a huge gun and swings it around at all the kids. And she's like, "Get off the side!"
Get inside. And she does have like the sheriff on her side, so people kind of like.
I was like,
kind of
okay,
fight.
I don't know if Biden's done nominating people, but she should be director of Homeland Security or like
Get
Secretary of
her
Defense.
on the cabinet.
Like, I wish, and I was hoping that she would have, but she didn't do it. I love a warning shot in the air in a movie. I would have loved
A desk pop.
I would have loved a few pops into the sky just to get everyone's attention, to be like, this is not a drill. We're not playing around. Get inside.
Yeah, this is for real because we already know the local sheriff can't cancel Halloween.
No, she's done.
But who can? A strong-willed grandmother.
Yeah, she's clearing the street by street with her and her semi-automatic, and
She's so good. I mean, too little Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie. I definitely could have used more, but I just believe her every time. She understood what she had to do. I think this is what I want to say. She did her homework for this movie.
yeah.
Jamie
She had
did
a
her
story.
homework.
She had a background from the character. She knew why she was there, and she really just
She knew what the stakes were. Like, she had assigned it real life stakes for us.
right. So Jamie Lee Curtis clearing the streets, and then the granddaughter's walking home. She basically looks like Annie Hall. She's walking down the street in men's clothing, and there's the weirdo boy from the school from before who like tries to make an awkward move on her. It was so uncomfortable.
She's like,
No.
back off.
And
He meets his.
there's a lot of like teen drinking condemnation in the movie too. Like, she initially gets so mad at her former boyfriend because he is drinking at the party, and then it becomes clear that like his friend is also drunk. So like there's like this, which I think is like a fun trope in these horror movies of like, if you behave badly, you get bad consequences.
The consequences. Yeah. It's okay from 1978. The 1978 version, I know they weren't shooting for camp. Like, I know they weren't going there for tropes in camp, but today it ends up reading really campy because I think it was like the inception of a lot of these tropes. Like, I think it was the beginning of virgins live and like the slutty ones die. Like, that was like the whole thing. So I was really missing that layer of fun in this one. They were kind of like anti-troping. Or just trying to put a very 2018 message on things like teen drinking is bad.
Yeah, I think that the problem when you become so self-referential like this is that you lose the space to do something new. And it was very much like, okay, what we're not going to do is we're not going to pick on girls for being like having sex. We're going to pick on boys for drinking. And it was like, it's sort of just like the same thing though. It's like, it's like, you're just picking something that teens do and then you're going to kill them for it.
And it all lent to that grander body count, which ultimately I was looking for in like a sequel. So I'm happy.
But it did work because like in this scenario, I was ready for this guy to die from the high school scene. So
yeah, I was ready for him to die from the locker slam.
And what I did like about this scene is that we had just watched like 5 people die by Michael Myers by him doing like sneaky home invasions. So this was fun to watch because it was a different style of killing where like Michael was moving through these like security lights and then all of a sudden he just like sneaks up on him and kills him. So I did appreciate that it was slightly different and it was genuinely scary.
I loved the different killings.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we had such good varied killings. Like, he pretty much got impaled on a fence.
Oh, yeah, you find that out
really
like when
cool.
he gets impaled on the fence. Annie Hall granddaughter runs back, sees it, and she gives a good scream. She gives her first big
Scream queen.
scream queen scream. And I was like, okay, I'm down to clown with her. She is ready to scream. And she goes running. And it's unclear because she can't find a house to get into, and they cut. And I did laugh because when we cut, the police officer, this like inept police officer or police sergeant, is talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's like, "Oh, she's lost her marbles." I was like, again, did Jennifer Lopez write the script? Like, this is Monster-in-Law all over again.
In the 1978 version, one of her friends calls Jamie Lee Curtis. She goes, "You're cuckoo."
Yeah.
And I just like,
there was
it's a nice little nod.
There, and then okay. So then they bring out the new psychiatrist, or well, we had already met him, but they bring the psychiatrist from the beginning, who's going to
Dr. Loomis.
New Dr. Loomis, who's going to help them track down Michael. And he says something here that's a little odd, because he's like, you can't hurt him. He's property of the state. And
yeah,
I was
I'm
like,
huh?
what?
Come again, sir? This man needs to die.
Yeah, I was like, huh? And I honestly forgot about it until later, but it does make more sense.
What?
Why he would say that.
Oh, I mean,
once the twist.
The twist, the reveal. Yeah. No, that was so confusing to me. Okay, like, I think the movie a lot of times was really taking pains to not kill Michael, almost to a corny degree, because we want those sequels. Like, we really want that. You want the $100 million sequel.
Right.
So it was, you knew they couldn't kill him. So it was just funny to watch them try not to.
Right. Because in the next scene, pretty quickly, they drive around and they find Michael.
The doctor's like, keep your eyes open. He might be around.
3 seconds later, there he is.
There he is. I go, wow, he's like really easy to spot.
And then within 3 seconds, they've hit him with a car. And
don't kill him.
And
the movie gets out.
The movie should be over.
It should be. I was like, oh, he's gone. Do you want to know what I did think was going to happen? Which I don't know how I would have felt about it at the end, but it was cool. So they hit Michael. Mm-hmm. He's down for the count.
Right.
Sergeant guy is like dead. Okay. So then the doctor gets out, and in a fun twist.
You love mixing things up for the viewers.
Yeah, I mixed it up for myself. Sorry, that was my problem. Okay, rewind. Okay, so they've hit Michael.
Yeah.
He's like down for the count.
Yeah.
Doc gets out, and as the sheriff is like tending to Michael, Doc stabs sheriff.
Right. Shock.
Right? So I was absolutely shocked. But what happens after that is what I thought was going to be the new twist of the rest of the Halloween franchise.
And I bet this is the same thing that I wrote down.
Doc puts the mask on, right?
Right.
I thought he was going to become the new Michael Myers. Did you think that?
I wrote, this is the transferable property, baby. I learned about this in geometry. I thought that Michael was dead.
Transitive property.
What did I say? Transformative or transferable?
Yeah. Transferable.
Yeah. Transferable property. No, I thought the same thing, because one of the things that I think the movie has a hard time grappling with is whether or not he's a real person. Because I think that what the movie wants you to believe is that he is a real person. But I think they're battling themselves with this idea, because there are too many scenes that are implausible that he would survive, which is why I really did think that when Jamie Lee Curtis is talking about him not as a person but as a boogeyman, I thought like what they were trying to get at is that he's not a person. He's more than that. He's
like a figment. He's like your worst fear come alive. He's
yeah.
Like literally in the credits they only call him the Shape.
But if you watch some other things, and I know there's like, if there are any like true Halloween heads out there, they're probably like screaming right now if they're listening to this. But like, what the movie is suggesting, or what they are believing, is that he's a person, because Jamie Lee Curtis in interviews also talks about this.
Well, she refers to him as the boogeyman in the beginning. And the podcasters are like, no, I don't believe in the boogeyman. I believe in Michael Myers.
Right.
And she's like, he's done all these horrible things and you still want to call him human? She's like, he's the boogeyman.
Right.
So I thought thematically, if Michael Myers had died right then and there, and the doc had taken over this persona, that would have been very on theme.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, it makes more sense. But then
But nope.
But no,
He's alive.
He just puts the mask on for fun, and he puts Michael Myers' body.
It is Halloween.
Yeah, it is Halloween. I mean, if there's one night to wear a mask, so they put
Tonight's it.
And when he like puts Michael Myers' body in there, and he's like inches from him, I was like, are they gonna kiss? Like they were very like. He was like, oh, Michael.
Like his body was so obscured that I couldn't really get a sense of how he fit in the backseat with the granddaughter Allison.
Oh my God, I couldn't even.
I was like there's like his kind of hand in her frame.
Yeah,
but it was really hard to get a sense of that backseat.
The spatial I didn't have enough spatial awareness as I would have liked to have like fully grasped what it would have been like to been a passenger.
I want to see.
Car.
Can we turn a lamp on?
Yeah,
I want to see. Can we get some lights?
But
So yeah, the mask was just for fun. Chucks it in the back seat. Michael starts to come to. He starts to like twitch awake. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, he's alive. That whole idea about this being more than a person goes away. And
yeah, the really cool like theme that they sort of built is like, just kidding.
Yeah, Michael comes to and he's like, okay,
a fake out's still fun.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
It sounds like I'm making excuses, but I'm actually not, because I really do like a surprise, just in any form. So to surprise us with the doc killing the sheriff and then to take away the surprise, it's still surprise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. We're it sounds like we're complaining, but we're not. And
I'm truly not complaining because it just had me guessing.
Yeah, because
at all times.
It does sort of reconcile pretty quickly, because as soon as Michael comes to, he kills the doctor.
Yeah, he's back.
He's like sort of saying to the girl, like, he's weird. I'm not with him.
Yeah. I thought I wanted to see Michael's like imprinting on Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought I wanted to see it transfer to Allison.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're my new object of obsession.
Sure.
But he doesn't discriminate. He still just wants to kill.
Yeah,
anyone.
He makes quick work of the doctor, and in the background of all this, Judy Greer, useless, has been shepherded along with Weird Dad to Jamie Lee Curtis's bunker. Mm-hmm. And this is where we start to learn more about Judy Greer and how she was raised and how she does have some gun experience.
Yeah, everyone gets a weapon. Jamie Lee had plenty to go around.
This was a funny scene because Jamie Lee Curtis takes like the huge gun. Judy Greer gets like a shotgun, and then she gives like a little pistola to the man, like the tiniest gun you could imagine.
Again, I have to assume not by accident.
No, that was intentional.
Wanted to emasculate.
Literally like the tiniest gun you could imagine.
Yeah. He didn't stand a chance.
Honestly though, with like what I'd seen from him, I wouldn't even trust him with a water gun. Like I would have been like, I don't know what I want in your hands.
The gun somehow felt right size for him. It just felt spot on.
Oh, absolutely. Anything more would have been inappropriate.
She was like this, accurate. Here you go. This for high capacity. And Jamie Lee was like taking pains to describe what each weapon was for, which I appreciate.
She was giving him like basically like safety scissors, and she was like, "These are good because they're better fit for your hands." And she's like, "Ugh, you take this."
Yeah, I think I wrote. So Dad is like, as we're cross cutting between Dr. Allison, Michael Myers, and like the compound at home, Dad is yo-yoing in front of the security cams.
Oh my God.
Missing the fact that Michael Myers has arrived.
Useless.
And is murdering the cops out front who are our comic relief. We had a couple instances of comedic relief in this movie.
Yeah.
The babysitter, her little babysitty Julian, and the boyfriend dying in a very funny.
Oh, with the child they were babysitting, who was so funny.
Julian is MVP of this movie, where he's like, "You're gonna come and smoke weed, I know it," and she's like, "I'm not," and he's like, "You are." It was so funny.
Yeah, they're dead.
We never check in on Julian.
No,
he runs out. He's just like, "I'm gonna get help." Leaves.
We'll trust him.
We cut to Dad is yo-yoing in front of the security cams, missing the banh mi sandwich cops getting murdered, and I'm just like, again, are they trying to make the men look stupid
To
elevate Jamie Lee
I
Curtis'
mean,
status?
that would
And
have
if so, I'm fine with that.
right, because even
I'm totally
if
fine with it.
that scene is insane, and then obviously, so Michael kills these police officers, and then he turns on the siren on their car just to kind of like distract whoever's inside. This dad then opens the front door, goes
out to check it out.
outside.
Unarmed, I think.
He didn't know where his pistola was, but
Didn't know where it was.
when Michael comes up and kills him, I literally was like, thank God.
Finally.
Let's all get a knife in there, because everybody join in, because
been waiting since frame 1 for this man to die.
I would have, you know, would have been a really funny scene is if when Judy Greer and Jamie Lee Curtis were doing like kind of like their little house tour, if Jamie Lee Curtis would have been like, you know what? He's dead weight. He's slowing us down. Let's just have him. Let's have him wait outside, and then let's just cut our losses. And like
Did you put him in the basement the whole time.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to be in the basement, and
yeah,
I don't know. When he died, it was just this weird scene though, because he dies, and you have this feeling of. It's kind of funny in the sense because he's so useless, but on the other hand, I'm like, okay, he's that girl's dad. Like, like her dad. Because what the movie is suggesting is that like these killings from 40 years are still having this profound traumatic effect, and like this movie is going to be their way of like reclaiming their narrative, and then like she has to come watch her dad die.
I know.
It's very strange. It's a very strange reckoning they're doing.
Like, I don't know what to say almost. Like, it is just a bigger budget Hollywood blockbuster from the first. The first felt so lovely, so small, such a tiny little flick. You really felt like Michael Myers just imprinted on this girl, Jamie Lee Curtis, who reminded him of his sister, who he killed when he was 6.
Right.
So you really felt like he was just going after these girls that like reminded him of his sister.
Yeah.
And the boyfriends in the first one died along with it because they went along with it. Like
right.
They were all promiscuous and they deserved to die. This one, you lose that little like kernel of what makes Michael Myers just because he's kind of just like not discriminating. He's just kind of killing everybody.
Right. And they even say that. The doctor says that. He's like, he won't discriminate. He's just going to kill. And I'm like, but that's not really what he does or what we were fed earlier on.
Like, I just want, like, the first one, the 1978 one, builds that he's going to relentlessly stalk anyone who gets in the way of him and Jamie Lee Curtis. So I would buy that he kills anyone in the way. But like he really was killing for sport in this one.
But you're right. You're right.
It makes
though,
it just a bigger movie.
In the car scene, that is what makes it so strange that when he comes to, you would think that his first reaction would be to kill the
Allison
girl.
Yeah.
Who,
that's what I thought.
By the way, was not separated by metal barricades like
he was
the psychiatrist
laying on her
was.
lap.
Yeah. That's
it is in her lap.
It is strange in that sense. But
yeah, I thought he was going to come to look her in the eyes. There was going to be like a close-up shot of his eyes, her eyes, his eyes, her eyes. And it was going to be like, this is my new object of obsession.
Yeah.
It has transferred from JLC to her granddaughter.
Yeah.
And
skip Judy Greer.
Maybe even like his eyes, her eyes, flash to his sister who he killed in 1962.
Right.
Connecting all three sort of deal. No, he's just interested in getting to that booby-trapped house.
Yeah. And this was honestly this was such a good segment of the movie. I loved it.
Do you like these segments in all horror movies? Like,
no.
I just feel like they're so inevitable that I'm like, this is where the movie gets the least fun for me.
It was inevitable, but what I liked about it was when we did the initial house tour, there were still some secrets to the home that we weren't aware of, and that's what I did like. So once we find out that useless dad is dead, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, this is ridiculous. She sends Judy Greer down to the basement. She's like, wait here. Like, I'm gonna do it quick.
Stay here.
I'm going to do a quick looky-loo through the home. Oh, right, because Michael had broken in after this, and he almost chokes her to death, whatever.
Yeah, so Michael Myers is like breached the perimeter. He's like in the house now.
And she goes room to room, and she has these like metal drop doors.
Oh, that was so cool.
So I like this because
she's like,
it felt new. Even though we knew the house, it was like, oh, there's something more to be discovered here. And it was like, it also made me think there's something else we don't know, which is true.
very true. I actually did like this. I was like, wow, okay, this is elaborate. She was kind of like sizing up each room, clearing it.
Yeah.
And then once the room was cleared, she would lock it.
Yeah.
You know, the cage would come down and it would lock, which was really cool. And I was like, okay, this actually makes sense with 40 years time.
Yeah.
You have the time on your hands to do this.
I loved it because she was basically closing off all the rooms, and this is not being rude about her home, but it's not that big. So eventually it's going to force Michael down to the first floor spot. To the basement we find out that's where she wants him. But
yeah, I thought that was a little insane that like for 40 years she's just like, get him here.
Yeah. And as
this one room,
as she's doing this, granddaughter arrives. I guess she gives Dad a little look on the way in. She thinks he's taking a nap.
Dad has been moved to the closet, so I don't think she sees him.
Right.
And that was a nod to 1978. In 78, Jamie Lee Curtis opens closets, and sees her friends in the closets dead.
Right.
And this was a fun little callback.
Fun. That was good. Let's get Dad off
Michael
the lawn.
Myers moved Dad into the closet.
Right.
So Jamie Lee opens the closet door, sees him all tied up, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm alone."
The one thing I didn't like when the granddaughter gets there is that, and she had been doing it for the whole movie, but it just felt really out of place during this scene. She opens the door and she goes, "Grandmother, grandmother."
Yeah, they'd been calling her grandmother the whole movie.
I was like,
that was what it was like. Nana.
I was like, don't we have code names or something fun?
Mimi?
Sharpshooter. Angel 1. LS. Strong Strode.
I would love it if this made it past many cuts of the movie and she just goes, Jamie Lee.
Yeah. JLC, where you be? But
grandmother was her name, like in this movie.
Yeah, it just felt like, there's murder in the house and you're yelling grandmother.
Yeah. So once the three generations of women realize that they're all that's left, we have this weird like reconciling in the basement where Jamie Lee Curtis goes, "I was wrong to raise you the way I did." And Judy Greer is like, "No, you made me strong," or something like. It was just like a little late.
She was just sort of like, "You know what? I forgive you." I was like, oh my God, you really...
Like, she doesn't say it, but she's like,
yeah, she doesn't say it. She's just sort of just like, I get it now.
Like, I appreciate you.
I get it now.
Yeah, but... So, like, Jamie Lee has been following him all over the house, and everything is just a flesh wound with Michael Myers. Like, everything's just like a shoulder graze, a finger. She, like, blasts one of his fingers off, right? Everything is just does. Like, he can still recover.
He can still recover.
He still can walk, too, even. He's full function of his legs.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
Yeah. And like Judy Greer's in the basement. I love this fake out. It's like almost at the end and she's like, she's sizing him up.
Right. So they're in the basement.
Jamie Lee
what happens to Jamie
almost
Lee?
has him. Well, she almost has him exactly where she wants him. Like she's following him all over. And Judy Greer like winds up in the basement. Like she's got a clear shot.
Well, no. Remember that Jamie Lee does find him in the room and he pushes her out the balcony and she lands on the ground. And
and then we cut away.
So grandmom's essentially out of the house now. She's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks out, or Michael Myers looks on the ground and Jamie Lee Curtis's body is gone. And they play that little sound. Callback.
Another nod to 1978. In 78, she pushes Michael Myers out the window.
Yeah.
We clock that he's there, cut away, cut back. He's gone. They do this many times in 2018. They make them switch places, which could be a really fun thing to talk about thematically if we have the time. But yeah, so you're right. Grandmother's out of the house.
Yeah, from what we can see, Grandmom's gone, and Michael Myers is going to go down because all that's left is Judy Greer, and she's not putting up much of a fight.
Yes,
so we think.
And she's got like target practice. She's got the gun up, and she's like saying, like, "Mother, I can't do this. Like, you have to come." Blah blah blah. And Michael Myers steps into the frame, and she just goes, "Gotcha."
She gets a clean shot to the eye.
Clean shot to, wasn't it like the shoulder or something?
No, she shoots him in the eye. It literally
Really?
It's a face shot.
Oh, I just wrote at this point in my notes, love how it's still all flesh wounds.
Oh.
I just love how they keep Michael Myers alive.
Well, not only that, she shoots him in the eye, even if it's even let's just say it is the shoulder. Jamie Lee Curtis comes up behind him and then stabs him in the back. I mean, this would be tough to recover from. And he still got a little fight in him, and
goes downstairs.
He kind of tumbles down the stairs, and he gets a hold of Judy Greer's leg, and I sort of just
take her.
set her down. But the daughter gets a knife, stabs him. He goes down.
Yeah.
And then this was my favorite line in the movie.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear it.
Well, I didn't write it down word for word, but I'll just get the essence of it. They're like, I forget who says it. I think it's Judy Greer. When she was like, it's not a, what does she say? It's not
I don't remember.
She says it's
at this point.
It's
not a cage.
No,
it's a trap.
It's one of those. It's something like that. But
yeah, because Judy, I guess what we were supposed to get from her whole childhood is Judy Greer felt like she probably grew up in a cage. Like she felt like she was just grew up like an animal in a cage. And they push him in the basement, and this was the best little fun surprise.
So good. The bars come at the top.
Bars lock him down there.
Yeah.
And all over the house are little gas lines and little flame points. And at the click of a button, it's flame, gas, ignite, flame, gas. And they're just basically setting the house on fire.
Yeah, they load up the house with gas.
And they set Michael on fire.
Toss a little firecracker down, and he starts to burn. And
they're just staring at him from up there. And you're right. She does say something like it wasn't a cage. This is supposed to be her freeing herself from her lame childhood. She's like, her traumatic childhood. She's like, it's not a cage, it's a trap.
Her character is the one that I'm most interested in seeing next week when we watch Halloween Kills, because I think that if they give her more of this, I think she could be a really great character, because I love Judy Greer and I like her energy. It was so much of one note in this movie with her up until this point, obviously, that it was just it was so exhausting.
No, I know. I want to see her in the next movie straight up convert. I want to see her in fatigues.
Yeah.
I want to see her carrying a gun at all times. I want to see her ready.
Right. So I'm excited for that. But anyway, so
they watch Michael Myers burn,
right?
Basically,
but the only hiccup to their plan, which becomes known at the end, is that not only does the basement burn, but the whole house is catching on fire. So they leave, and
they lead you to believe she booby trapped the house that way for it all to go on fire.
Right, but on the way out, as they kind of get into the back of a truck and they're being taken for medical care, we see that the fire department is going back to put out the fire.
I was going to say to you, I'm like, how do we have a sequel? What's your theory? Because it looked like to me that house was going to burn to the ground.
Well, that was my thought too.
To the ground.
Because, and this is why I think that was the flaw in it, was that instead of just the basement being a cell that burned, the whole house sort of starts to collapse and burn.
Yeah, I'm there's no way out of this one.
But when a few minutes later, the fire trucks are coming and you see Jamie Lee Curtis screaming, let it burn, let it burn. So I think we're supposed to infer that the fire department gets there and
I'm a big ol' idiot.
Yeah.
And
No.
I
I'm like, yeah. I had the
Yes, you
same
are.
reaction because my thought was like, how is he going to get out of this? And then I was like, oh, it's not like a steel tomb that is incinerating. It's like the whole house is burning. So maybe like some wood beams fall and he's able to get out.
Well, we know he gets out.
Well,
I mean,
obviously,
like,
we have a second one.
duh, of course he does. But I'm a big old dummy, and it's really funny. I watched this for YouTube, so we're gonna be able to see me look like an idiot. But like, I didn't clock. I was like, yeah, when a house is on fire, the fire department comes. Like, I just didn't see anything wrong with it.
Right.
I was like, of course, and I knew he gets out because there's sequels, so that didn't land for me.
It's
that
only
her
because
plan all along
Yeah.
was to let it like burn to the ground, and then the fire department was going to directly hinder that. Like, I didn't get that
Right.
at all.
And I think that was part of the problem, is that because she was injured, she gets taken away right away, like by
She
them.
couldn't oversee.
And
She couldn't oversee the burning.
Right. I think in a perfect world, she would have like stood outside and watched it burn all the way to the ground, and
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. But so if I was to give her any feedback on her house, I would have just said like, line the basement with like aluminum foil and just be like, just keep the fire there.
Yeah, because what I kept wanting to happen too was that basement door to close.
Right.
Like, or some sort of hatch to come down to lock him in the basement so that once the basement burned, he stayed there with it.
Yeah.
They take pains. Not only are they taking pains the whole movie to make sure he's just coming away with scratches,
Yeah.
like they take pains to leave that open.
You know what
so he could maybe get out.
So this is basically the ending of the movie. And then you know what I was thinking the whole time was,
What?
how funny would it have been for a promotional thing is if they would have had, because so much of the movie is Laurie as a personality and her home, if they had her go on Trading Places and they have someone come and redo one of her rooms and she has
I want like a post-credit scene.
yeah. I was like, you know what would be
Like, remember how they used to do that? Those like comedic post-credit scenes?
Yeah, something like that, where like she's like on a show where she has to like work with, like she redoes her neighbor's room. And someone
She's like, hey, I'm Paige Davis, and you're watching Trading Spaces.
Yes.
And it's like Laurie with her fried hair, and she looks really awkward, and she's just like,
I don't know why I can't shake this image of it being so funny to have Laurie Strode on Trading Places.
you know, there is something to this trading
Spaces
trading spaces thing, where we've touched on it maybe once or twice on the pod. I don't know if our listeners have heard an episode yet where we talk about trading spaces, but
yeah, I don't think so.
is there like a Trading Spaces rewatch pod out there? Because we might have to
do it.
we might have to like take the burden on, because it's just it was culturally just so insane. And it's just like as crazy as some like early Tyra Banks stuff, some early like Top Model, that I think
would be a
fun
fun rewatch for Trading Spaces.
I would love that. Relive the trauma.
Yeah, but basically, I would say that I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was thrilling. It was just scary enough to scare me where I had nightmares for one night. By night.
Oh, okay, you did.
So I'll be curious to see what happens going forward. But I'm very, very interested to see the next one, because I think, where do we go from here? And how are they going to improve Judy Greer's character?
I know.
They deserve it. I mean, she deserves it. Like, that would be so unfair if they did her dirty again.
Some redemption. Yeah. I feel like this movie was made in a lot of ways to get it out of the way kind of movie.
Yeah.
To really set up the fun in the next two.
Right.
Because we got rid of all of the dead weight. Like, we got rid of all of that exposition, and I feel like we can really hit the ground running in Halloween Kills. So I like the function of this movie, which is like the vehicle and like a carrier for all that information to launch us to Halloween Kills. Like, it's gonna just make Halloween Kills epic.
Starring Kyle Richards.
Is Kyle Richards coming back?
Yeah, she's in Halloween Kills.
Oh my God, why didn't they put her in this one?
Well, I think sort of like you were just saying, that they wanted
just get this one out of the way.
Yeah, and I think I actually appreciate that they didn't have Kyle Richards in this one, because it would have been so bogged down in the referential. It allowed us to get to know these new characters, and now we're gonna kind of touch back on.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel because it's just like I wanted to see more whispers. There were nice, really fun thematic nods to the first.
Yeah.
And visual nods where, like I said, that Michael Myers and Laurie would trade places with like things that happened in the first versus this one. But like, I wanted more nods to Michael Myers imprinting on Laurie, imprinting on her granddaughter, like the more stuff that happened in the first.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one is fun and I enjoyed it because it's jumpy, it's scary. The kills are epic, okay? These are the best movie kills I've ever seen.
They're very good.
When he stomps on the sheriff's head.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then like he even takes like the one boyfriend he stabs to the wall, which is what he does in 78.
Yeah.
The kills in this are just so next level. The bloody teeth, like so I just love this for the way it heightened the world and the way it explored the world and the way we've like fleshed out Laurie's last 40 years.
Yeah.
But I am so ready for the next two installments. Like I'm ready to put this behind us.
I'm ready
That's how I
to,
feel.
and I'm ready for the experiment of doing something right when it comes out. So
That'll be fun, guys.
We will be coming at you as close to live as we can get.
Okay. So yeah, I'm excited to do something that's like in theaters, like in real time. You're going to watch it at home, right? Halloween Kills?
It's going to be released on Peacock.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we'll remind you guys in the next one where to find it, but it should be on Peacock.
Not stupidly, but you showed me that this one was on FX, right? FXM or something.
This was on the FX Movies channel when I checked.
And I saw that the runtime was like a couple minutes shorter than the theatrical runtime. So I went and rented it on Amazon. But talking to you now, I'm starting to think.
I wonder where it was.
Did you have like fade outs to commercial in yours that you clocked?
No,
maybe not. Yeah, so I wish I didn't. I rented it for $3.99, but I just wanted to make sure I had the longest version. But yeah, I'm gonna watch this in theaters next Thursday, 7 p.m.
That'll be good to get that perspective because it'll be interesting to hear what your fellow theater goers pick up on. It's always interesting.
I can't wait because I'm gonna be truly 100% more scared because it's very hard to scare me. I don't get scared easily. And I think it's fun. Like, I just think it's so much fun.
You like the rush?
Yeah. So there was actually very few times in this where I jumped.
Yeah.
I was freaked out.
I would say, though, and this is the first 45 minutes of this movie were legitimately a lot more terrifying than the second 45. And that's coming from someone who gets scared by like a tissue falling.
A game of Manhunt.
Oh, that's out of control. That's not even. I mean, that's basically this movie.
I feel like you're the one who gave me the gasp for effect. Like in college, like you would be like, "Oh my god!" You would gasp at everything.
Oh my god!
I think one time your vacuum turned on in your house.
I'm very.
You're jumpy.
I remember like growing up, like in like. I guess specifically like elementary school, like teachers, like if somebody would do something across the room, I would always be like, and like the teachers would be like, oh my God, you're so jumpy. And I was like, I'm alert. Okay. I have eyes on everything in here. I was
That's
like,
rude of her.
I would always just be like, I would always just be shocked when people didn't react to foreign noises, sounds, shapes, objects. And, I'm going to just take it in stride.
Yeah,
take it in Strode.
Take it in Laurie Strode. You're a jumpy individual, and it's so fun. I'm not knocking you. It's so fun to watch a scary movie with somebody who's jumpy, who gets there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch this in theaters. I hope my seatmate is really jumpy. Like I hope they kick something. That like reflex when you hit your kneecap. I want to see that leg jump.
Oh, bring one of those little things from the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And say, hey, before I choose my seatmate, I want to do this reaction test because I want to find the jumpiest person here.
I go through the whole theater.
Guys, come on. I have to tap your knees. I'm not.
A half hour beforehand, I'm like.
I'm not playing around. I need to find the right seatmate.
I know, but I have those stupid assigned seats because I think they're recliners. Oh no, I didn't go to the recliner theater. That's okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. This was epic. Really took the quiet 1978 movie, really blew it up on a Hollywood budget. I cannot wait to see this in theaters. I'll be able to tell you the jumpiest parts for the theater goers, and then I'll probably catch it back at home to make sure I have notes on it.
Right.
And so we'll be releasing this and Halloween Kills in the month of October. That's so exciting.
Spooky season.
Spooky, scary season. Okay, you guys, as always, please like the pod, rate it 5 stars, review it.
Send it to 5 of your friends and make them send it to 5.
Yeah, and then send us the receipts.
It's not a pyramid. It's not a pyramid. We're working to build a triangular shape. It's very different.
Yeah, it's just the most structurally sound shape.
It's the strongest.
It's the strongest. Yeah, send the receipts, and we'll read your name on air. How about that?
Yeah.
Show us 5 people that you sent it to. Show us 5 text messages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on,
or a recorded phone call.
Yeah.
If you're sending it to your parents, it's going to have to be a phone call. Or like an AOL email address.
Yeah, and just record it, and that's fine. We'll listen to it.
Yeah. We will read your name on air, and you will get our undying love and support. We thank you so much. Steven has a hard out today.
I have a hard out.
So Steven has a hard out today. So I'm going to say thanks so much for listening. And
well, I can say goodbye. I can say goodbye too. I don't have to leave right this second.
I see in my head, I wanted to like set up a bit where I alienate you, where I go, Steven has a hard out, but it didn't work. It didn't work because I haven't
taken a 2-person sketch class, so I didn't really know what I was supposed to do.
It was one of those moments.
I was like, wait, you're not telling the truth.
It was one of those moments in improv where I tried to just take over the scene, and then when it didn't go how I wanted it, I was like, wait.
Remember in The Office where Michael takes the improv class and he just shoots everyone every time?
That is the most epic moment in Office history.
So epic.
You know you haven't taken improv, right? Have you?
No, can you believe?
I can't believe it. But notoriously, I'm shook. I'm shocked because you're so good.
So good at picking up signals.
Notoriously in improv, they tell you don't bring a gun on stage because literally rule number 1 of improv is like yes, and rule number 2 of improv is don't bring a gun on stage, because if you kill someone on stage, they have to lay there dead for the remainder of the scene, and then you don't have a scene partner.
Right.
So it's just cutting from Michael's talking head to actual footage of him in improv class, and he's like, I think the most exciting thing that could ever happen in an improv class is you bring a gun on stage, and then he just goes bang, 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 and everyone dies. It's such a the show is written really smart, but that one gutted me. It's good.
Well, we've really extended my time since you were trying to get me out of here a minute ago. So
I was trying to get Steven out. I was trying to be like a good producer and get Steven out. We're still good. We're still on time. But thank you guys so much for listening. And yeah, bye, Steven.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, bye.
Can we get a goodbye, please?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.